Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as the American Legion, Post 615, and VFW Post 2791 present colors.
Ready to post the colors? Post. All right, join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Present arms. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Water, earth. Detail, dismissed.
Thank you. Please have a seat. I'm Trustee Dave Seaman, and I have the pleasure of serving as liaison trustee to the Veterans Commission that is sponsoring this event today. With me from the village board are the mayor, Ed Zabrocki, clerk, trustee, and former trustee and former retired general Pat Ray, and T.J. Brady. We welcome you all here, and at this point in time, I would like the mayor to make a few welcoming comments, and at that point we'll do the invocation.
Thank you very much, David. First of all, let me welcome all of you here and sincerely thank you for coming out in this kind of weather. Someone had pointed out to me 2 years ago it was sunny, a little bit windy, but we enjoyed it. I have two points I'd like to make. First of all, you may have heard at the beginning of the Pledge of Allegiance, we heard a little baby cry. I think that was significant. Also, I'd like to point out two young men right back here. One in a blue jacket and the gentleman, the young man next to him. Both of them stood up proudly and said the Pledge of Allegiance. That's what this is all about. That baby crying and those two young men over there. That's what makes a difference. That's why we have veterans. That's why we're here today. The most important thing is let's not forget what they did for those two young men there and that baby back there. I was going to read this, and it's a little bit too long, but you can Google it and get it. This is, I'm just going to read the last two paragraphs. It's how you fold the flag and what it means. I don't know how many times you folks have seen, and I know myself have seen, folding the flag and what it means. I really didn't know what it meant until, in fact, Teresa Flowers was the one who brought this to me. And let me just read the last paragraph, last two paragraphs. When the flag is completely folded, the stars are uppermost, reminding us of our nation's motto, "In God we trust." After the flag is completely folded and tucked in, it takes the appearance of a cocked hat, ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones, who were followed by the comrades and shipmates in the Armed Forces of the United States, preserving for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms we enjoy today. The next time you see the flag ceremony honoring someone that has served our country, either in the armed services or in our civilian services, such as the police force, fire department, first responders, keep in mind all the important reasons behind each and every movement. They have paid the ultimate sacrifice for all of us by honoring our flag and our country. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I would like to ask the chaplain from the VFW, Jim Cahill, to come up and do the invocation.
Thank you. You may bow your heads. Father, we thank you for bringing us together today. We wish to thank you and the community leaders who planned and guided today's special activities and all those who contributed in any way to its fulfillment. We continue to pray for those members of the armed forces that are serving both at home and abroad. In Jesus' name, and everybody say amen. Amen. Good.
Thank you, Chaplain. At this time, I'd like to introduce the chairman of the Veterans Commission, Major, retired, Wiley Robert. Wiley, please.
All right, Major.
Good morning. Happy Veterans Day. I look out at all my brothers and sisters in arms, and I'm so proud to be one of you. I decided to wear my uniform today, and I was going to wear my deserts, but then I realized that I don't have a Gore-Tex or anything kind of warm to put on over top of it, so I used my second set of uniform when I went to the desert the second time. But this year, our Tinley Park Veterans Commission has dedicated our efforts towards recognizing those veterans from the global war on terror. And if any of you have fought or are serving currently during the global war on terror, please stand, be recognized. We got some people up here too. If you're the family of someone who has served during the global war on terror, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Today is all about family, and I'm glad the mayor pointed out the youth that need to understand just exactly what Veterans Day is. And started way back in 1918, and it used to be called Armistice Day. And it's kind of unusual when you look at someone in uniform, you usually think of battles, you usually think of, casualties. But when we look at Armistice Day and Veterans Day, it's a time to recognize the efforts of those individuals and those who made the ultimate sacrifice. But it's also a time to recognize that peace was achieved on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. And it was called Armistice Day. And then we finally made it in the 50s to reflect Veterans Day so that it recognized everyone who served in the military. And then we finally had a time when they wanted to move the date, and they wanted to move it to October. That didn't work out so well. So fortunately, Jimmy Carter, around in the 70s, said, we're going to keep it on the 11th day of the 11th month. And that's where we have it today. And that's why we in Tinley Park have stressed the tradition of holding it today, even though it's on a Tuesday, and I thank you all for showing up. A lot of people may have had yesterday off. Some of the schools had off yesterday. But after this ceremony, I'm going to be in my uniform. I'm going to go off to a school and talk about Veterans Day to some more youth. So it's the, give a nice hand to the band. There's a nice group of youth over there. And again, thank you all for showing up, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the program today. Happy Veterans Day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this point, I'd like to introduce somebody who's served the village wearing many hats, also served the country wearing a number of hats, and that's Pat Carr. He's going to do the speech today, and is our guest speaker. Many times we hear about police as first responders, and we're lucky enough to have our Chief Neubauer and his team here, as well as fire department. We've got our good friend Chief Dunn here and his leadership, as well as the kind of the unspoken, the quiet group is the EMA, Emergency Management Agency. These are groups that were formed some time ago, and I guess some of you remember the old civil defense days, and that was the genesis of the EMA. And as part of that, our village has been committed to a rigorous, and this is truly volunteers. These people do this work, no pay, come out, direct traffic, do what they have to do whenever we need them to do it. And the leader of that group is Pat Carr. And he's done a great job keeping that group going. He also, another hat is telecommunications director, but basically works hand in hand with police and fire to be the first responders of Tinley Park. So, Patrick.
All things to drink. Thank you, everybody. Wiley, my uniform's in the cleaners right now. Mayor Zabraki, Clerk Ray, Board of Trustees, distinguished guests, and especially my fellow veterans. It was 30 years ago on November 9th, 1984, that I enlisted in the Air Force. I tell you that because it was one of the best decisions I made, and it had such a profound impact on my life. So where did it start? What made me want to serve? I believe it was a bunch of little things, but it had its start in a little life story that is all still very clear for me. My first recollections of the military were in 1972 or 73, sitting in the living room of my home, watching the news reports as a little kid of Vietnam. From talking to my mom years ago, she said I did that quite a bit. I was always fascinated by the images of the helicopters and planes that would flash across the screen. She said that is why she bought me the little green plastic army guys with the tanks, which I threw a fit about because I wanted the helicopters and jets. Of course, no offense to you ground pounders out there. I was fascinated with the fast stuff and the noise. It wasn't until the summer of '73, on one of our annual trips to Ireland, that I became really fascinated with the military. You see, my father, Paddy as he's called, took his American wife and kids to Warren Point County Down every summer to visit his side of the family. It was and still some of the best memories growing up. The town of Warren Point is as picturesque as any image of Ireland could be. A beautiful little town by the sea with the mountains of Mourne, with its lush green landscape serving as its backdrop. Along with this beautiful landscape, you had loads of Army patrols with their big guns, radio packs, armored vehicles, patrol boats, and yes, helicopters. It was awesome. Everywhere we traveled, we'd run into all these Army guys. And always we were stopped by a bunch of them, and they would make us get out of the car. I was always waving and saying hi, but my dad and uncle were always telling me to be quiet. I thought, as any 6-year-old would think, why are they telling me to be quiet? The soldiers were nice. They looked cool with all their gear. They asked us who we were, what we were doing, and where we were going. They also liked checking our car. I thought maybe they liked this type of car or they were looking for something to eat in the trunk. I always loved these moments because they were close. We could hear the crackle of the radio, and their guns were big, which they were pointed at us. Every time we came to one of these gathering of Army guys, the last thing I would do was wave to them as we were leaving. And wouldn't you know, they would wave back. Well, that became short-lived after one stop. We pulled over, and I got a crack in my you-know-what. Wait, you might ask. I thought you were in Ireland. Yes, we were, but did I mention it was Northern Ireland? And those Army guys were the British troops at checkpoints searching our vehicle and questioning my dads and uncles. Yes, Paddy Carr took his wife and 3 little kids to a combat zone every year. How cool is that? So as I got older, my draw to the military grew stronger, and I would run into more and more veterans who would share their stories with me. One particular person his name was Elvis Stanfield, and that's Elvis with an A. Elvis was from North Carolina with an old country drawl, and as I came to find out, he was one of the reasons why I'm here today. You see, Elvis sponsored my dad in the United States in the early 60s. During World War II, Elvis and his unit, the 2nd Infantry Division, were stationed in Northern Ireland to prepare for the Normandy invasion, where he went on to earn a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart. During a period of 6 months, they trained on the beaches of Warren Point, and their encampment was in town, where a group of soldiers, including Elvis, befriended my dad. My dad was a kid that would go around, shine shoes, clean the guns, various other duties for a few bucks or candy bars. In 1995, as I transitioned from an enlisted to the officer ranks, I had the privilege of Elvis attending my commissioning ceremony and to pin on my new butter bars, an event that brought a lot of things full circle and into perspective. Today we remember the sacrifices that veterans and their families made and continue to make. We also recognize the employees of the village of Tinley Park, who are veterans that continue to serve the village. deeds, not words. A phrase used by many leaders, but also a phrase that represents Tinley Park. This is not something new, or was it achieved overnight, but rather over generations of leadership that promote volunteerism and service within the village. Each of these employee veterans has their own story of what shaped their experiences in the military, but it's that experience that the village of Tinley Park benefits from. Who are they? They are part of the leadership team that have provided guidance through the rough economic times and had to make hard policy decisions. They are part of the team that have rescued people from burning buildings, car accidents, and trench collapses. They run toward gunfire and save a citizen or find a lost child. They are called out at 2 a.m. to fix a broken water main or direct traffic on an accident scene when it's 50 below zero. And best of all, they're here. They're here in Tinley Park. Sure, some people might say it's their job or that's what they get paid to do, but the reality is only a chosen few can rise to that type of service. Day in and day out, as we all know, the ones that are usually making those comments are the ones that can't do it. Our village benefits greatly from this experience. Tinley Park has always been a veteran-friendly village, a community that tirelessly advocates and supports veteran causes year-round, a community that goes out of its way to recognize members deployed and providing support to families. You have people like Tom Mahoney from the Park District, Jeff Vaccaro from the Tinley Chamber, that go out of their way to assist veterans. You have Wiley and the Veterans Commission that work year-round for veterans. But I would like to recognize and personally thank two individuals that over the years have gone above and beyond for veterans' causes. Both of these individuals are Tinley residents, one a current village employee, and the other recently retired. These two women are the soul behind veteran causes and have the leadership qualities of any general, and they make me smile every time I see them. Judy Bruning, Jeannie Condon, thank you for all that you do for veterans and their families. In closing, I would like to thank all of you. Thank you for your support for events like today and many other events throughout the year. It is because of you that we continue to remember, and it is because of you that motivates the men and women of our armed forces. God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Pat. There's a number of presentations that we have today. And if you'll excuse me, I'm going to put my specs on. I'm getting old. I know. Okay. But the writing is small, so. Okay. If you look inside your program, we're going to go ahead and present the Colonel Seaman Award, named after Colonel David Seaman. He's a retired colonel, Air Guard. Yeah. He's over here to my left, your MC for today. And it's fitting that we end up recognizing the two individuals that we have today. If you'll read along with me, Kim Fazio and her sister Terry Hilton, lifelong friends of the Sutter family, embarked on a mission to assist in creating a fitting tribute to the life of Staff Sergeant Sutter. There were many obstacles they had encountered along the way, knowing that to properly execute their plan of action, they must first demonstrate the community support behind such a project. Generating a petition with over 2,000 signatures, they presented their case and garnered favor from the members of the Tinley Park District. After their years of effort, their dream became a reality. Today is the first time that two individuals are receiving the David Seaman Volunteerism Award, and the Tinley Park Veterans Commission is proud to honor the efforts and the fine example that these young women set. These actions are the shining example of perseverance, tenacity, and dedication to the memory of the life of Staff Sergeant Michael J. Sutter. Children of the village of Tinley Park have an opportunity to learn from their mission and the life of one of our local heroes. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and invite Kim Fazio and Terry Hilton to the stage, please. Kim, on behalf of the Tinley Park Veterans Commission, I'd like to present you with this award, and it's the Colonel David G. Seaman Volunteer Award presented to Kim Fazio for your dedicated service to our military veterans, presented by the Tinley Park Veterans Commission, 11/11/2014. Again, I will read. Colonel David G. Seaman Volunteer Award presented to Terry Hilton for your dedicated service to our military veterans, presented by the Tinley Park Veterans Commission, 11/11/2014.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Terry Hilton, and on behalf of my sister Kim Fazio and myself, we'd like to thank the Veterans Commission for such a great honor. The park would have never been dedicated to Michael Sutter without the support of all the people who signed the petition and went all the way around the world, and we got over 2,000 signatures, as well as the support of the Tinley Park District. Thank you for everyone who helped with making this a reality, as well as a big thanks to the entire Sutter family for all your support and for your great sacrifice. Thanks, everyone.
The Sutters are here. Would you please rise and be recognized? I consider myself extremely fortunate to be in the position that I am today as chairman of the Veterans Commission of Tinley Park. I'm proud of this community. I'm proud of the service that each and every one of you give to our veterans year-round. And I'd like to say that it was a personal honor to be there when the two young ladies presented their petition to the Park District, and I was also there for the dedication at the Bettenhausen Sports Complex of the Sutter Park. So it's my privilege to honor you today. Thank you. We have a lot of traditions. The military has a lot of traditions, as you well know. One of the traditions that we have is that we coin people. And what that means to you who don't know is we have a coin, a challenge coin it's called. And the reason why it's called a challenge coin is back in World War II, there was a group of soldiers that banded together, and they were going behind enemy lines. And in order to identify each and every one of them, they gave each of them a coin. And when they met on the street, they may not have been in uniform, they may have been in civilian clothes, but when they saw each other and they didn't know whether they were a friend or enemy, they showed their challenge coin, and they knew that they were a friend. That started a long tradition in the military about challenge coins. So everybody wanted to have a challenge coin and make it unique to them and make it special. And because of that, there's another tradition in the military where if you're at a place where they serve adult liquid refreshments, there's somebody who sometimes throws a coin on the bar. And if you don't have a coin, you're paying for that round. That's only among military people. Trust me, you can't throw quarters on that bar, okay? It's got to be a challenge coin. And then, if everybody throws a coin, then you take a look at it and you see what rank was given the coin. I've been coined by many, many people during my service, and I'm proud to say that I was actually coined by the Secretary of the Air Force when I was over in Iraq, and a bunch of generals. And I need today to return that favor. So the very first coin that I'm going to distribute that we had made from the Tinley Park Veterans Commission to recognize the service of an individual is going to be to retired Brigadier General Patrick Ray. Okay, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a coin to my liaison, retired Colonel David Seaman. I share so much with the next presentation because we're both retired majors from the Air Force. Patrick Carr. I need my glasses for this one, guys. Colleen's going to help me as I announce. If you're here, please come up. We're going to present coins to anybody who's here from the village who has served, and if you'll join with me in the program, I'm going to have to read this very carefully. Michael Brown, you here? If not, we'll keep moving on, guys. Anthony Campbell. Wish I had a light behind me, huh? Bob DiOrio. See, that's why he's a colonel. Chief Ken Dunn. Doug Irwin. Mike Faxel. Al Lorenzen. This is going to be a special one. Norm Pestlin, my secretary for the Veterans Commission. William Ringhofer. Greg Schmeckpepper. David Walker. John Barajas. Mark Magalski. Jonathan Pop. Christopher Tilson. Jose Vega. Ron Bruni. Rich Gale. Keith Harvey. John Kelly. Oh, Keith. Excellent. John Kelly. Joe McClellan. Phil Mitchell. Dennis Riley. Rudy Rosillo. Anthony Trinidad. Scott Hine. And Raymond Violetto. If they weren't here, let's give these gentlemen a round of applause. It's an honor to even say their name. I have another coin that I'd like to give out from the Veterans Commission. Not only do we honor our veterans, but we honor their families. And I'm coming down there. I'm going to give this one to the Sutters. They deserve it. I have something for another gentleman here, Phil Clark. Where are you, Phil? There's no better job than to pay tribute to a veteran. When you go out into the community today and you see a baseball cap, it says World War II on it, it says Vietnam, it says Gulf War, it says Global War on Terror, it says Iraqi freedom. It could say Bosnia. There's a lot of different conflicts that were out there. Go up to them and thank them. That's what this is all about. How am I doing my time, Bill? It's 10:56 right now. I love timekeepers. They're wonderful people. They have an extremely important job in our community. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have our rifle team end up proceeding and get positioned, and we're going to honor our veterans at 11 o'clock on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, as this is a tradition of the United States of America. And the flag rides at half-mast today until 11 o'clock in honor of those who made sacrifices for your freedoms. But at 11 o'clock, that flag is raised to full staff and remains there for the remainder of the day, signifying that your freedoms are intact and that those colors don't run. So at exactly 11 o'clock, we raise the flag in honor of those who are serving currently overseas, protecting and defending our nation and the freedoms that it so joyously preserves. What's going to happen at exactly 11 o'clock is please turn off all electronic devices or mute them, and we're going to have 2 minutes of silence. Behind me, and unfortunately we had to put the walls up because it was raining pretty good this morning. The weather's going to probably get a little bit worse than what you're seeing right now, but because of the rain we had to put these walls up and make sure that we had a little bit of safety as far as the electrical device that I'm talking into. But there's our Walk of Heroes is behind me, and it's the General Patrick E. Ray Veterans Plaza brick walkway for hero honorees. And this year, I'm going to read the names off of those bricks that have been added to the walk. For the U.S. Army, it's James Arcus, Howard C. Boone Jr., Chester S. Farron, Ed Grushinsky, Andrew Harmata, Robert Libertor, Raymond J. Martin, Wayne McGlashan, John Petrovich, Anthony Ventura. For the Marine Corps, Daniel R. Perk. For the U.S. Navy, Harry R. Hirschauer, Richard Karasik, Edward M. Leeson Jr., Anthony Rosich. And for the U.S. Air Force, Bradley Clement. Please join in the singing of our national anthem.
Sing
at this time, we have our Reverend Al-Magadi, who's going to come up and give us our benediction for the day. He's from the Tinley Park Methodist Church.
First of all, thank you for inviting me to give the invocation and benediction. Sorry I was late, I misread the time, but I'm so glad to be here this day as we all together honor our great heroes. Let us depart with God's grace. We remember today all those who have come before us and given the greatest gift to our democratic nation, their lives. Their duty, their honor, and their lives are precious gifts that must be given to the future of our country and our families. The duty of our veterans, past and present, is the fiber of the world freedom and is stronger by our recognition of service and sacrifice. We honor that service and sacrifice today and should carry it forward for our children to honor. Freedom and democracy are the result of all the most honorable this country has produced. Today is for remembering. Stand in honor of them. Walk in their path of duty. Remember the cost and hold in your heart the cause of freedom. We remember today, Veterans Day, our veterans. And now you may go out in peace and freedom that God only gives to us. Today, tomorrow, and forever. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. After the ceremony today, there's going to be a luncheon provided at the VFW post, downtown Tinley. So please join them there. And I'd like to turn that back over to Francine.
Thank you. Please be seated just for a quick moment. First and foremost, this ceremony would not be what it is without live music. For those of us that have served in the military, there is nothing like having a band as part of your unit. And I was fortunate when I was with the 126th Air Refueling Wing to have that, at least while they were stationed in Chicago. So at this time, I would like to ask the members, men and women, young men and women of Central Middle School Band to please stand and be recognized as well as the director. Thank you. You make this day special for all of us. Thank you so much. At this time, we go back to our lives, do what we do day in and day out. But please remember that it's the veterans that are, and that will be giving in the future that make our lives possible. So thank them and thank their families for all they've given to us. So once again, happy Veterans Day. Thank you so much for coming.